So lately, I have been watching a lot of content about North Korea, and I just get into these kicks where I want to learn about these weird countries like North Korea, for example, and how they treat their people, their way of life, how this dictatorial regime manages its country as a whole, because it's very different than where I live in the US, obviously, and I hate how they treat their people, but at the same time, it is very interesting because it's just, part of the world that you really can't go to. And the reason why I say you can't go, even if sometimes you can, is because you just straight up shouldn't. And this video that we are about to watch together about a man who went to North Korea and came back in a vegetative state for something that he may have not even done is a prime example of why one should not go on vacation to North Korea. Because Kim Jong-un, well, he's kind of a piece of crap. And he treats his people terribly. That's just like the beginning of it, though. There is a lot to this place. So we are going to be watching together a video on Otto Warmbier, the guy who failed to come back alive from North Korea when he decided that it would be a good idea to take a vacation there, despite the US government flat out saying that he shouldn't do this. Rest in peace his soul. Before we begin, I just want to say that it is a tragedy that he didn't make it back here. It's unfortunate, but at least we can sit back and learn from his mistakes as to why one should never go to this country. With that being said, this video we're about to watch is from Fern. If you find you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, all the good stuff. Let's go ahead and get into the video and find out exactly what happened here.
This is Otto Warmbier. He's a 21-year-old American college student.
My crime is very severe and pre-planned. I regret my actions.
His crime was allegedly stealing a propaganda poster off the wall that he may or may not have even done. It's not a severe crime at all. North Korea just really wanted to make a statement to America.
More than anything.
2 months ago, he went on a New Year's party tour with a travel agency. The destination was Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea.
On the early morning of January 1st, 2016, I committed my crime aimed at harming the work ethic and the motivation of the Korean people.
After a night of...
I really don't understand how they can say that stealing a propaganda poster harms the work ethic and motivation of the Korean people, but, I mean, that's what they were claiming, I guess. I heard that Kim Jong-un's favorite movie is The Interview.
Partying, he allegedly took a poster from the hallway of his hotel. Shortly after, he was detained for perpetrating a hostile act against the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
I understand the severity of my crime.
Now he's here, trying to save his life, at the mercy of a totalitarian dictatorship.
I have been very impressed by the Korean government's humanitarian treatment of severe criminals like myself, and of their very fair and square legal procedures in the DPR Korea.
Quite literally, none of that statement is true. They sent him back in a vegetative state, and to top it off, nothing about that country is fair. It's only fair if your name is Kim Jong-un or a direct government higher-up that works, directly under him. But otherwise, even then, it's not fair. So, North Korea actually has something where if you get punished, it doesn't matter your standing. If you do anything like wrong think, or you get caught with, for example, a South Korean K-pop CD, quite literally anything can get you essentially executed. And if you don't get executed, you get thrown into prison labor camps, and then your family is forced to live there for eternity. It's basically like generational punishment. This is the type of nation we are talking about. They do not have fair courts. They do not treat you well. They do not have any advancements in medical equipment at all. I'm fairly certain this country doesn't even have birth control. This country has quite literally nothing. And as far as I am aware, there is no such thing as a fair trial in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
A communist regime that nurtures a deep hate for America.
The United States administration already knows about my act through the CIA and connived at my crime.
Soon, the case of this college kid will escalate the already tense relationship between two nuclear powers.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury.
I remember this. I don't know how many of you guys remember the pissing match between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump on Twitter. Well, I guess it was mainly just Trump on Twitter making threats at Kim Jong-un. It actually worked, though. He made a tweet saying that he had a bigger red button on his desk that actually works. And then Kim Jong-un came to the negotiating table and quite literally made a deal, and Trump went and met the guy. Like, it was like, I was in shock that angry tweets threatening nuclear war was enough to make Kim Jong-un bend. But I think that Kim's strategy here is quite literally just make threats that nuclear war is going to happen, but then turn around and just try to use it to get like relief for his country or something. He's not actually trying to start a nuclear war because he knows that he would get completely devastated. He may tell North Korea, the people there, that he's like this god and that North Korea is so strong and that they're, able to take down the evil America and all these other countries that they hate. But when it comes to actually putting that into action, Kim Jong-un is well aware, I believe, that America, and probably close to almost like any first world nation on the planet, could turn him into a glass floor and just ruin North Korea in a heartbeat. I really think that Kim knows this very well. He only uses the nuclear weapons and the testing and ICBM launches and everything as a way to try to get like money out of people, like other countries, so that he can bring it back to North Korea and help his but not really help his people. It's more just for him and his government, because those people never see any of the money or the food or anything. But it's more or less just so that he can get more free stuff out of other countries. It's got nothing to do with him thinking that he could actually follow through on it.
But Warmbier, at this point, has no idea what he is about to face.
An American is being held captive in North Korea. He was sentenced to 21 years of hard labor.
Those prisons are rough places. If something very bad happened to them.
Americans' fateful trip to North Korea.
Complete failure to recognize fundamental human rights.
The dreams of a young man destroyed by dubious charges from a ruthless regime.
This very press conference might be his last chance to save his life.
I am the oldest son in my family. My mother needs me. My father needs me. My younger brother and my younger sister need me. I entirely beg you, people and government of the DPR Korea, for your forgiveness. Please, I have made the worst mistake of my life.
Otto Warmbier won't survive, and his case will bring the US and North Korea to the brink of war. But the version of events many people remember might not be true. Much of our research is based on this extensive GQ article. Find the link in the description. New Year's Eve, 2015. This is Kim Il-sung Square in Pyongyang. Thousands of North Koreans have gathered to watch the fireworks and greet the new year.
I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe one of you guys could tell me. I've never actually seen confirmation anywhere to know if this is a fact, but I've heard that they keep one of the dead supreme leaders' bodies in a mummified sort of state. Not mummified, but if you were a viewing embalmed or whatever, and they just say he's eternally sleeping. Is that true? Because if so, that's just kind of weird.
Among them is a group of tourists. These are people from Europe, Canada, Australia, and the US. They're here with a travel agency, and they booked a 5-day, 4-night New Year's party tour for $1,200. Otto Warmbier is one of them. Now,
dude, that's the worst way to spend $1,200. Dude, I could think of so many better things I would buy with $1,200.
After the fireworks, they return to their hotel, a 47-story tower located on a small island in the Taedong River. It boasts 5 restaurants, a bar, a sauna, a massage parlor, even a bowling alley. One of the restaurants revolves. Because of its location, people call it the Alcatraz of fun. During the tour, they'll drink at a fancy bar and eat at fine restaurants. And, on top, they get the full propaganda tour. They've already visited the 70-foot bronze statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il.
See, that's how you know North Korea doesn't have any money, because you know if they had the money, those statues would be made out of gold and not bronze. See, like, if they actually had the money to, like, because, like, what supreme leader wants a statue made out of bronze? Bronze is, like, a third place medal. Like, not even silver here. Like, silver is, like, not even really all that expensive compared to gold. Like, it's expensive, don't get me wrong. But, like, if you're a, a dictator of a country, your country is obviously quite poor if you can't afford to even do the silver statue. Like, you got to do the bronze one. I mean, yeah, it'd take a lot of metal, but I mean, there's definitely enough gold out there. Like, if you're a rich nation and you're really able to run it so well and feed your people, then why is the statue bronze and not gold, Kim? What's going on there?
The country's first two dictators. They're regarded as near holy figures.
Can I just point out also that I believe that was Kim Jong-il, I think. I might be wrong. I can't tell if it was him or Kim Il-sung, whichever one it was. But bro had a couple of chins going on. Bro, he definitely had a couple double chins. I wonder if anybody else in the nation has that.
State propaganda has it that when Kim Jong-il was born,
Bro, that looks straight up like a rooster.
at the site of a holy mountain, a double rainbow and a glowing new star appeared in the sky. Today, his birthday, the Day of the Shining Star, is a public holiday. Citizens spontaneously salute the massive statues, but it's impossible to say whether it's real reverence or mandatory homage.
Probably, like, both, because the people that are born there are... I mean, some people obviously defect, so, like, some people clearly figure it out, but for the most part, the people that are born there are indoctrinated into this at, like, birth, so, like, they don't know anything else. Like, this is all they know. They're not allowed to leave. Like, if they try to leave, they get shot. So, of course, they don't even know that there is another way of life out there that isn't worshiping some guy who's very overweight. Like, that's all they know. So, when it comes to whether or not, like, these people are doing this, like, out of being forced, yes, that's an aspect. They've been forced their entire lives, but they think this is normal. And when you've been fed enough propaganda your whole life, you genuinely do start to believe it. Also, they have some very interesting myths over there. Like, I believe was it Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il, which one invented the hamburger? But I looked it up the other day, and they call it meat with two buns instead of a hamburger, which is, like, the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I remember hearing, like, a lot of other stuff, like, oh, Kim Jong-un doesn't poop or pee, and he hit, like, was it like 12 hole-in-ones on his first golf run or something, and that some caddy witnessed it or some crap, but I don't know how real those are. But with how much they worship this guy like he's literally God, and that's not a joke, they really do believe this man is God, I could believe it. Like, they believe he is a, like, Jesus-like figure. Like, he is a god in a mortal body, basically.
Propaganda is everywhere. Billboards show images of missiles striking the US Capitol. Other posters sport slogans like, "Let's arm ourselves strongly with Kim Jong-il's patriotism." Disrespecting the communist dynasty can get you in big trouble. According to GQ, the Database Center for North Korean Human Rights confirmed a case of a factory janitor being prosecuted for bumping such a picture off the wall so that it fell and broke. Otto and the other tour members need to be careful. One wrong move, and they could face harsh punishment.
You know, I think communism is pretty freaking stupid, but, like, it's never worked. But I would also sort of argue North Korea, it almost doesn't fit the description of a communist nation. Like, I would argue it kind of aligns more with, like, fascism. I mean, communism always has a dictator at the top, but, I mean, it's communist in the sense that the government decides where all the people work and all that stuff. Like, you're not allowed to pick your own job and all that stuff. Like, you're assigned everything in the life you're going to live at birth. So, but the thing is, with fascism, you sort of have similar things, because they also, like, control your religion and stuff like that. So there's, like, kind of like a mixture of both here, but I mean, I guess the correct term here, more or less, would be dictatorship. I would think if this was, like, communism, I think more like Soviet Russia, which was just as bad, if not worse. I mean, they killed a lot of people in Soviet Russia. We're talking like over 100 million people died in communism in Soviet Russia. Uh, it was really bad. Stalin was a horrific leader. But when it comes to a place like, North Korea, I would think that for them to be operating how they are, because there are like businesses and stuff in North Korea to an extent. However, they're not like big or whatever. Like they're like knockoff businesses. I saw a short the other day of like knockoff Starbucks and stuff in North Korea, and like fake IKEA and like grocery stores and whatever, which they're attempting to initiate some form of capitalism. It's more like with the way that China handles communism, where it is definitely a majority communist country, but there's aspects of capitalism baked in. Because if it was communism, like in its truest sense, everyone would have the exact same thing. Uh, that's part of why I think communism is just flat out stupid. Because it would just be like, if it was actually an accurate representation, you would have the same house, the same car as your neighbor, same house as your neighbor, same clothes as your neighbor, same, like your job obviously in society has to be something to move society forward, but you never get out of that position. There is no upward mobility in communism. So you're forever stuck in the role. And I guess in that regard, you are also in this position in North Korea. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a weird mixture, when I think about it, but it is labeled as communism. So, I mean, we'll stick with calling it what they call themselves. But with communism, you are going to be forever stuck in the role that you are assigned at birth, essentially. Think of it like this. Think of it like if your parents owned a business and you didn't want to go into the family business, you wanted to be like a lawyer or something, or, whatever you want to do. But your parents really want you to go into the business, so you go into the business anyway, because your parents really wanted you to. In the case of communism, it's more like, well, you're going into the family business whether you like it or not, and you have no choice to choose. You will forever be in the family business. You will forever make the same amount of money and resources from the government to run the family business. You are going to be stuck in this position till the day you die, and if you go against the regime, you are going to die yourself. You break the laws, and the laws are very strict. You will end up either in a camp or dead. That's pretty much just what communism ends up being every single time, because it just can't work. There is no upward mobility. So since the average citizens have no upward mobility, your average citizens are no longer trying to be extraordinary citizens. They are now simply doing the motions to get through the day. So you have no motivation for the citizens to ever want to try to get rich or anything like that, meaning that there's just going to be no innovation. You wouldn't have all the technology companies we have in America. You wouldn't have people coming up with all the crazy ideas for things to make life easier, because, like, why would you bother? Your life is forever stuck with what you're doing now, and you're not allowed to innovate. Unless the government comes to you and says, hey, we think you're smart, help us build weapons of war or something like that, you're not innovating. And that's exactly what happened in like Russia and everything. You eventually, because of the lack of innovation, because communism doesn't really produce anything, you just run out of food, you run out of money. That's just what happens. And I feel like people who are in America that are privileged don't understand. They think, like, when they go to college, I went to college and I had a lot of professors that tried to preach how great Marxism and communism was, and I never believed a word they said, because I know people who fled communist regimes. I have had conversations with actual people that lived in communist countries, and every person who's come from a communist country had nothing nice to say about where they lived. There's a reason they left and came to America. It's because America actually has opportunity. It's the land of opportunity for a reason. And that is an issue that communism faces. And it's a problem at the very cores of Marxism, is that there's just the idea like, okay, I'm going to take from my neighbor because I think that everybody should be able to profit off of the works of a single person, is fundamentally flawed, because you would never even have that single person to take from under communism. Eventually, those types of people will run out of money. They'll run out. It'll be gone. There will be no more innovation. There'll be no reason to. You can't have a utopia. Eventually, the money runs out, and then what do you do from there? The problem is there's nothing to do from there. The country just dies out and starves. That's just what happens. Capitalism has its own set of issues. I fundamentally think capitalism is better in the sense that capitalism can produce things. However, it does have issues at the extreme end too. You have issues with like monopolies and things like that, where companies, and we do see this in America as well, it's very hard as these massive companies get bigger to come up with a new idea and start your own company and innovate further. Humanity is going to keep doing that. They will forever innovate if the option is there to do so, because humans are smart, but it's also going to be a massive problem for those humans eventually to come up with those new ideas, because you can only be so creative for so long. Eventually, you can reinvent something and make it better and improve on it, which is easier than coming up with a whole new idea. But you're also going to have an issue where these massive companies are coming up with everything and doing everything, and it's very hard to get into the market because the barriers to entry are so high. Anyway, I'm sorry I went off on a little bit of a tangent here, but that's just my thoughts on it. I think you kind of need like a mixture, middle ground, like aspects of both if you want a country to survive properly, which is what America kind of has. We have social safety nets to a degree, but we also mainly focus around a capitalist society. And I do think America does actually suffer with massive companies such as like Amazon and stuff, where they're so massive that they employ a lot of people, which is great. But they are so massive that if you want to try and go out on your own and escape the rat race, your options are, unless you have a ton of money to start with and you want to take that risk, kind of limited. So that's my issue with it. Like, I have no guarantee that what I'm doing right now is ever going to make me any money or work right now, but I'm trying it because I'm having fun while I do it. But when it comes to trying to start like a brick and mortar business of some kind that isn't just on the internet, I mean, who knows how long Google and YouTube's even going to be, like, how long is YouTube going to be a thing before something else comes in and makes, just takes over the whole video sharing scene? I mean, it's not likely, but it could happen. For all we know, all the YouTubers, could be irrelevant tomorrow. But when it comes to like trying to start like a normal business in 2026, I think that it's gotten incredibly difficult for the average person, especially if you just don't have tons of money to throw at it.
Otto was raised in a suburb outside Cincinnati, Ohio, the oldest of 3 siblings. In high school, he was popular, athletic, and smart. At both prom and homecoming, he was crowned king. Speaking at his high school graduation, he quoted Andy Bernard from The Office.
I wish there was a way to know that you're in the good old days before you've actually left them.
Now, he's majoring in finance. Halfway through his junior year,
That's what I went to school for. I went to school for finance. I mean, I regretted it, but I went to school for it.
he decides to do a winter break adventure to North Korea. It makes sense.
I mean, if you want to be technical, actually, I went to school for finance and then went to law school and I didn't finish my law degree. I just, it was complicated family issues, but I ended up not finishing it. But, yeah, I technically was trying to go to do like financial law, which is why I got a bachelor's in finance.
He'll be studying abroad in Hong Kong in the spring. In 2015, the State Department's travel advisory for North Korea is clear. It recommends against Americans traveling there at all. On the other hand, the website of Young Pioneer Tours, Otto Warmbier's travel agency, said that traveling to North Korea was, quote, extremely safe. The tour operator specializes in taking you to destinations your mother would rather you stay away from.
I wonder why she'd want us to stay away from them. I could only imagine. I mean, apparently Uncle Sam wants you to stay away too. Maybe it's because it's not safe.
His parents had their concerns. But, as Cindy Warmbier later said, why would you say no to a kid like this?
Because you don't want him to die?
Early in the tour, the group is visiting this ship, the USS Pueblo. The North Korean military captured it in 1968. The North Koreans claimed it had entered their territorial waters. Now, it's a tourist attraction. When the North Korean tour guide explains that the ship was seized from the United States, he doesn't say the United States. He says the imperial enemy. Between 1950 In 1953, the US dropped an estimated 635,000 tons of bombs on the country, plus some 32,000 tons of napalm.
I love how that bomb just said "to whom it may concern" on it.
Major cities were obliterated. 75% of Pyongyang was destroyed. During the war, as many as 1 million civilians perished. In 1953, a ceasefire ended combat in the Korean War.
Yeah, if you didn't know this, we're technically still at war with North Korea. We're just like we've had a ceasefire, I believe, since like the 50s or something. But the Korean War never ended. Like, we are technically still at war with North Korea. We're just like not in a technical combat sense at war. So I mean, we're as it stands just at a ceasefire. Like, it could I don't want to say realistically, because it probably won't. Maybe it could, but it most likely isn't just going to pick back up. But I guess you could argue, like, it could pick back up at any day, any minute. Like, North Korea could attack. I mean, that's why the DMZ exists, in Korea. Because, they have guns pointed at each other at all times, because North and South Korea can just go back to war at any point. And since South Korea is a United States territory, that means that we would have to step in and put our foot down.
But a peace agreement was never signed. Technically, the North is still at war with the South, and with its ally, the US. Most Americans are unaware of this war, so much so that the Korean War is often referred to as the Forgotten War. Not so in North Korea.
Yeah, I was about to say, North Korea definitely didn't forget that we're at war with them, but we did. Is that like a bit of an insult? Like, we just kind of forgot that we were still at war with you? Like, nobody freaking remembers. Like, that's how important North Korea is to the United States. It's just like an oddity at the zoo that you occasionally just want to learn about and like point and go, ooh, look at the fat Kim guy. He's doing such a cool, look at him. He's eating his own poop. No, but and realistically, like, it's kind of like an insult. I don't know if it's that or like a flex from the US to where it's just been so long, and even though we're still at war, nobody cares. Like, we just forgot that it's even a thing. I feel like North Korea should feel insulted by that. They are so unimportant that we just forgot.
North Korean tour guide explains what happened back then to the 82 American sailors that were captured along with the ship. They were beaten, starved, and only released after 11 months. Otto Warmbier is not visiting just any country. He's in enemy territory. Danny Grattan, his roommate during the tour, will later recount that Otto seemed a little bit shocked. To lighten the mood, he and the other tour members give Otto a nickname, Imperial Enemy. The rest of the tour goes smoothly. Sightseeing during the day, restaurants and bars at night. They even engage with the local kids by having a friendly snowball fight. One of the reasons people travel is to understand the world a little better. Brilliant does that for learning. It helps you engage with...
This is an ad? I'm sorry, but I'm going to skip the ad. I'm sorry, guys. I appreciate the video and I wanted to make his money, but I'm not watching the ad. I'm sorry, guys.
To everything on the platform. Back to January.
If you guys want to go watch the ad, the video obviously is linked down in the video description, but I don't feel like watching it.
January 1st, after the fireworks. When the tour group returns to the Yanggokdo Hotel, they split up. Some go to the bar. Danny Grattan heads to the bowling alley. They lose track of Otto. When Danny gets to his room, around 4:30 a.m., Otto is in bed, sound asleep. Then, a day and a half later, the group is ready to get on the plane. It's time to go home. As the last members of the group, Danny's and Otto's passports are checked. The officers take an unusually long time to scan their documents. Then Otto feels a sudden tap on his shoulder. There are 2 North Korean soldiers behind him. They lead him away. Danny doesn't think much of it and jokes, "Well, that's the last we'll ever see of you."
Wait, was he serious? He just didn't think much of the fact that his friend is being escorted off by North Korean soldiers and he just makes a joke out of it? Does he actually think his friend is going to just be released? Did these people... Where are they getting this idea that North Korea isn't some dictatorial regime that'll just lock you in a concentration camp and throw away the key, or just execute you in the streets? Like, where is this idea coming from? Because it's well known that they are. They will 100% just throw you in a camp for the dumbest thing.
2.5 months later, Otto is standing trial in North Korea's Supreme Court. He's accused of violating Article 60 of the DPRK Criminal Code, state subversion. The central piece of evidence is this CCTV footage. It's timestamped. The early hours of New Year's Day, 2016. It shows a staff-only area in the Yanggakdo Hotel. A shadowy figure removes a poster from the wall and appears to set it on the ground. The poster looked like this, a propaganda poster, and it contained the Supreme Leader's name. Let's arm ourselves strongly with Kim Jong-il's patriotism. To remove it from the wall is a serious crime, a bid to impair the unity of North Korea's people. And that shadowy figure? According to the prosecutors, that is Otto Warmbier. The trial only lasts an hour. The Young Pioneers' North Korean tour guide testifies against Otto. A second witness takes the stand, an employee who says they noticed the poster had been taken from the wall. Otto's belongings are presented as evidence.
Bro, the company he paid to take him on a tour there testified against him. That's just, dude, that is screwed up. So they take his money, take him on a tour, claim it's going to be safe, and then when he gets thrown in a prison camp, that's when they're like, oh yeah, no, he totally did it. They don't have any evidence that he did it, but they're going to testify against him. Maybe North Korea, like, forced the tour guide to do it, but that's just messed up, man. That's messed up.
And fingerprints are
worst tour in the world.
Shown on a flat-screen TV. But most of the supposed evidence came from Otto's confession 2 weeks earlier. Here, he goes into the details.
On January 1st, 2016, New Year's Day, I committed severe crimes against both the people and the government of the DPR Korea. The task was given by the Friendship United Methodist Church. At the encouragement of the Z Society and the connivance of the United States administration, I came to commit this crime task.
Wait, he was told to say that the US government put him up to it? Dude, this is just next level delusionalness from North Korea. This is crazy. Yeah, let's just blame the US government, because I'm sure that they totally told him, like the CIA was like, hey, go steal that propaganda poster off the wall in North Korea. We'll totally get you back. We'll get you back, Otto. Don't worry. We got your back, man. Like, what? Like, dude, this is just ridiculous.
The full story goes like this. His friend's mother, a deaconess at the Friendship Methodist Church in his hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, instructed him to deal a blow to North Korea by stealing an important political slogan to be hung in her church as a trophy.
Wait. So they're not blaming the government. They're blaming a church in America for stealing the propaganda poster to want to hang it as a trophy in the church. That makes no sense. I know of absolutely no churches. I mean, I'm not Christian, but I've been in a few churches before. And I've never seen a church that had any interest in putting North Korean propaganda posters up as trophies. That's just insanely ridiculous.
As a reward, he'd receive a used car worth $10,000.
Whoa, what? What church is going to give somebody a car for a North Korean propaganda poster, dude? You can just go to Google and print something out. That is actually ridiculous, man. Dude, what is this country?
Were he to be detained, the church would pay his family $200,000.
The aim of this crime was to harm the work ethic and motivation of the Korean people.
I'm going to be real. Let's say this deal actually was real, and this actually did happen, right? There was $200,000 offered to my family if I failed to get this propaganda poster for $10K. First of all, everybody knows North Korea is a psychopathic regime that will just gladly execute you for anything, or at least most people know that. So the idea that, yeah, 10K or used car or whatever sounds totally fair for the risk of getting, executed in the streets or just thrown to a work camp or whatever. That seems totally fair for 10K. Does North Korea, like, comprehend that 10 grand, like, it's a good amount of money, but, like, it's not life-changing money, nor is, like, a car. Like, did they actually think that $10,000 US is that much money to where somebody would risk their life for it? I wouldn't. Dude, there's no way I would do that. Maybe offer me, like, I don't know, 10 mil, maybe I'll try and do it then, but I mean, I'm not gonna do that for 10 grand. That's just insane. And then to say as like an insurance policy that if you get caught and executed that they'll pay the family 200K. Nah, dude, no. This is the most nonsensical story ever. Nobody would ever take that risk. It's just so not worth it. And what church, like most churches don't even have 200 grand on hand to pay a family out like that. So I don't know, man. This seems so made up. It's ridiculous. North Korea doesn't even understand like how much US money is worth in the US, and it shows.
He told his mother about his plans.
She cried and said not to do anything dangerous. I considered less, not wanting to hurt my mother. But since then,
Wait, or maybe this is a story that Otto came up with himself just to tell the North Korean government so that he could, like, try to get out of this, but I don't know, I kind of don't buy it. I think maybe that they just told him to say this, like North Korea just told him to say this in front of everybody to make America look bad.
Received several alluring pressures from the Friendship United Methodist Church, leading me to finally decide on my crime attempt.
He then shared his plans with a member of the Z Society, a secret society at the University of Virginia that Otto wanted to join. He'd heard all...
Bro, that Z looked like the Dragon Ball Z. That's that is the best choice of Z.
All of its members go on to get high-paying jobs.
He promised if I was successful, he would help me gain membership in the Z Society.
Finally, he decided to do it.
After I planned in detail to accomplish my plan, I arrived in Pyongyang on December 29th.
Bro just goes and meets up with Goku trying to join the Z Fighters. Like, come on.
2015, through Beijing. On the early morning of January 1st, 2016, I committed my crime of taking out the important political slogan from the staff-only area of the Angakdo International Hotel, aimed at harming the work ethic and the motivation of the Korean people.
And, he explains, the plot goes all the way to the top.
The United States administration already knows about my act through the CIA, which is closely linked to the Z Society.
This is so made up, it is unreal, dude. This is like the most insane secret society nonsense I have ever heard. North Korea is on some Illuminati time over here.
And connived at my crime.
The church, too, is linked to the government.
The Friendship United Methodist Church is not a typical church. It is very wealthy, with $42 million.
I highly doubt that they actually have $42 million. Why would Otto even know what amount of money the church has in their banks? Like, that just seems a bit ridiculous. He's just a college student. That doesn't seem like information that he would actually have. I think that the North Koreans either just put him up to this or he was just making it up. I really think they just put him up to this.
That is why the United States administration has very close ties with this church.
Yeah, it does make it look bad, though, from, like, North Korea trying to make the U.S. look bad here. It makes sense. That's clearly what they were trying to do, and they just forced him to say this. I'm guessing that he has, like, a script in front of him or something, and this is what they told him to say. I mean, obviously, he's going to say it when they're holding a gun to his back. I mean, clearly, he's not just going to not do it.
He was manipulated, plain and simple.
I was clearly given the task by the Friendship United Methodist Church. I was encouraged by the Z Society.
Can I just ask, was that just like a random African-American man in the back in North Korea? I thought it was pretty much just Koreans there. That's weird. But I didn't think there was any other race there outside of like tourist groups.
My crime is very severe and pre-planned. I regret my actions more than anything. I beg for forgiveness, and I beg for help in any way possible to save my life.
완비호의 발언이 끝났습니다. 들으신 바와 같이 미 행정부는 우리 공화국을 반대하는 정말 더러운 행위를 감행하고 있습니다.
Experts agree that Otto Warmbier's confession seemed quite obviously coerced and staged.
This is a little bit off topic, but did you know that like 80% of people in North Korea have parasites, like in their intestine, their body, and everything? Fun fact, apparently that's true, that most of them have parasites. There's a guy, maybe we'll watch a video on it at some point, if this one does well. If it, I don't know, if this video gets probably like over 1,000 views or something, I'll probably make another one. But the this guy that escaped from North Korea, he got shot running into South Korea over the border, and his body was like riddled with parasites. And apparently it's estimated like 80% or something like that of people in North Korea are inflicted by parasites because they just eat anything because there's no food there. So they just eat like the most disgusting things.
North Korea has a history of coercing confessions, and the US accused North Korea of broadcasting this one for propaganda purposes.
Actually, do you think Kim Jong-un has parasites? I feel like he might have. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. He probably doesn't eat all the disgusting stuff as people does, but maybe he eats some weird things, dude. I don't know. He looks like he consumes a lot. So, like, maybe he does. I mean, if it's that common. I kind of doubt it, though. I feel like he probably doesn't.
A member of the Z Society said Otto had never approached them and denied any affiliation with the CIA. And the senior pastor at Friendship United Methodist Church said he didn't know of the deaconess mentioned by Otto.
I've never heard of the Z Society, so this is like a real thing that exists? Like, what do they do? Is it like Freemasons or something? Because I've never heard of it.
But this is later, after it's too late. Now, standing before the Supreme Court, all Otto can do is beg.
I was used and manipulated. Please, back to save me. Please save my life.
But his pleas fall on.
Dude, that was kind of hard to watch, I'm not gonna lie. I feel so bad for this man. I really wish he would have made it out alive.
On deaf ears. He's handcuffed and led from the room. He's been sentenced to 15 years of hard labor.
Over a poster, man. Dude, the laws in this country are so insane. Man, I really... Dude, I know it's not so simple. It's just going there and just, you know, liberating these people. But I feel so bad that this is the norm in North Korea, that they have to live like this. I really feel like there should just be something that can be done to liberate these people. The problem is they're also brainwashed into believing this from all the propaganda that they've been force-fed, that even if we, like, committed an act of aggression against, like, say we, like, actually went in and, like, took over North Korea and, like, installed an actual democratic government there, the people of North Korea would take generations to undo the brainwashing because they are just so freaking far gone in the brainwashing department that, like, they would actually be hostile towards us after taking them over. They would hate us and think that we're the enemy because we came in and tried to give them a better life. It's such a sad situation.
2 days later, on March 18, the Korean Central News Agency released the CCTV footage to the public. Western news outlets treat the footage with suspicion. That figure could be anyone. One story notes that the corridor is well lit, something that, in a country where electricity is scarce, is far from the norm for staff-only spaces. Some of his tour mates give interviews. One of them, Sarah McLaughlin, says there was an issue with the time shown in the video.
Your group had been out at a New Year's Eve party in the hours before that. Were you even back at the hotel then?
No. The time didn't match up at all.
According to her, the young pioneers didn't return to the hotel until around 3 a.m., more than an hour after the footage was allegedly captured.
So clearly North Korea must have set this up then as like some political stunt against the United States to try to get us to negotiate with them for something, I guess to give them something that they wanted. I just would like to know how they picked Otto out of the group of people to use as their negotiating chip. Like, I just don't understand how he became the scapegoat, but I guess maybe they just picked somebody at random that they thought looked like he was, like, I guess you could say maybe the most American, like, stereotypical, because he does look very like a stereotypical American white guy. So maybe that was, like, their line of thought, like, oh, he looks like the one that they would probably care about the most, which is nonsense. Any American citizen, America's going to try and negotiate to get him out of the situation the best they can. But I'm guessing that maybe that was their line of thinking, and they were just like, well, we'll use this tourist as a bargaining chip to try to get the United States to give us some stuff we want, which is honestly just crazy. Yeah, I know they hate us, so they don't see us as humans, but they are just using human lives as negotiating pieces, and it's just kind of sick.
Another tour mate says in an interview with the BBC that Otto was careful to observe the rules. They'd been told not to take pictures of military staff or installations, and he'd been nervous when taking a photo with military personnel in the background.
Men for mig giver det simpelthen ikke mening, at den samme fyr, som stod og var så nervøs over at få taget det her ene billede, som måske var lidt på kant med det, vi havde fået at vide, vi måtte, så skulle kunne drikke sig så fuld og forvandle sig til et helt andet menneske nærmest, og så bare jorde op og prøve at stjæle et banner.
His roommate, Danny Grattan, also doubts that it was Otto.
We never mentioned anything remotely like that. We'd already bought some souvenirs. In my heart of hearts, the guy I knew for 3 or 4 days was not that type of guy.
Everything about the whole story was fine.
I mean, even if he was, like, it's not like that crazy. Like, it's a freaking poster, dude. Like, it's not that serious, but they're taking it as serious as a heart attack, man. North Korea is just, like, brutal. Do you guys, like, I feel like Kim Jong-un, like, if I could sit down, and, like, if it was just me and him, I feel like I could, like, have a conversation. I can't speak Korean, but, like, if I could, like, somehow have a legit conversation, like, I understood how to speak the North Korean dialect in Korean or whatever, I feel like maybe I could sit down and, like, try to convince him to be less of a dickhead. Like, maybe I could talk no jutsu him into being a better person. Like, I genuinely feel like maybe, you know, if I'm just like, it's not too late, Kim, you could still come to our side. You could still, you know, we could still stop this. You know, like that one meme with Naruto talking to Adolf. I feel like we could do something like that here. Probably not. That guy's probably, any humanity in him is buried under a lot of, layers of fat. He's like an onion, like Shrek.
Fabricated, in my opinion.
Otto's parents, Fred and Cindy, turned to the Obama administration for help, but the Warmbiers later said they were advised to keep quiet. According to GQ, Robert King, the special envoy for North Korean human rights issues, warned that drawing media attention to the ordeal might anger the regime. What makes it even more complicated is that the United States has never had a formal diplomatic relationship with North Korea.
Okay, but was Obama, when he was in office, I didn't know that this was during Obama's term. I know it was like at the beginning of Trump's, and he came back when Trump was in office as a vegetable. But, like, was the Obama administration doing much of anything to get him back? I kind of remember, like, Trump was saying, like, oh, he wasn't doing any, like, Obama wasn't doing anything to get Otto Warmbier back. And I'm curious, like, did Obama at least, like, make an attempt of any kind to get him back? Like, I feel like there had been something they could have given North Korea sooner to get them to hand him over. Like, I feel like if they were like, hey, Kim Jong-un, we'll send you, like, I don't know, a couple pallets of cognac, then they might have sent him back. Because Kim Jong-un really likes cognac and expensive cigarettes. I feel like you could have just played on his vices, maybe. Because, you know, maybe he's, like, getting low. You don't know. Maybe the guy's stash is running out.
There is no U.S. embassy in Pyongyang. The Swedish ambassador serves as the liaison for Americans, but the Swedes' calls and emails are met with silence. The days turn to weeks, turn to months. Efforts at back...
Okay, so we did try to get a hold of the Swedish embassy. Why were the Swedes ignoring us? Like, why is the Swedish embassy ignoring us? Why don't we just go to Sweden themselves and get them to get in touch with them? I don't understand. Like, we aren't we, like, at least friendly with Sweden? Aren't they like neutral or whatever? Shouldn't they have been able to, shouldn't we have been able to get in touch with this embassy? I don't understand why we couldn't.
Back-channel diplomacy are stymied. The issue is passed from one administration to the next. No one knows where Otto is, what he's doing, or how he's being treated. Then,
man, this is why I couldn't be president, because I would just be immediately like, if North Korea had an American citizen, I don't even care if I don't like him. If I was president, I would just straight up be like, all right, drop some Minutemen on them. We're going to nuclear war with them. Yeah, like, I would be way too trigger happy. This is why I will never run for president, because I know damn well that I am very bad at negotiating diplomatically, but I like to negotiate with fisticuffs. So we're just gonna flex might on them. That would literally just be the play, because I really just, I don't want to negotiate with a dictatorial regime. I'd rather just, say screw it and just bomb. I mean, you might end up, destroying Otto in the process, but at least they won't get any other Americans in the future. But yeah, I know that's a horrible plan. So obviously that's why I will never be president, and I don't want to run for president.
in early June 2017, some 17 months after his detention, the news finally arrives. Otto is unconscious. An extraction team of doctors and diplomats is put together, and finally...
Let me start by saying that I'm glad Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and I, along with a very talented team, were able to get Otto Warmbier back with his parents.
Does anybody know what it was? Like, I probably was read in the news or something at one point, like what it was that he was unconscious from. I don't remember. I thought it was like some kind of like infection or something. I don't remember, or if he was like beaten or what. I know he was like in a very bad physical shape, like they had like starved him. But I don't know if any of you guys remember or just know what it is that actually took Otto's life. Let me know in the comments, because I genuinely don't remember. Maybe they'll tell us here in a minute.
Otto Warmbier is returned to U.S. soil on June 13.
We're thrilled that our son is on American soil, and I'm able to talk to you on Otto's behalf, and I'm able to wear the jacket that he wore when he gave his confession. Otto, I love you, and I'm so crazy about you.
Dude, you could tell that was ripping him up inside, man. I feel just terrible for this family.
Last night, being able to see Otto for the first time in, gosh, I bet it's 18 months, it was fantastic. Otto's not in great shape right now, and he's been through a real tough time, and it's great to have him with us, and I'm very proud of him.
Otto is home, but he's changed tremendously. When Cindy and Fred met Otto at the airport, they were shocked.
We walked over to the plane. We heard this howling, involuntary, inhuman sound. Otto was on the stretcher across in the plane, and he was jerking violently, making these inhuman sounds. Otto had a shaved head. He had a feeding tube coming out of his nose. He was blind. He was deaf.
He was taken to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center's Neuroscience Intensive Care Unit, where extensive imaging and diagnostic tests immediately began.
His vital signs were stable upon arrival and have remained so.
He doesn't need help breathing, no signs of infection, no dysfunction of non-neurological organs. His neurological condition, though, is described as unresponsive wakefulness.
Wait, so did they poison him? Because if there's no infection, no dysfunction of organs, like, it sounds like there might have been no signs of, like, if there's not a dysfunction of organs, then the blunt force trauma is clearly off the table, because that would, to put him in the state, there would have to be dysfunction of organs involved with the blunt force trauma. So, like, did they just poison him and then send him back? Because that's kind of what it's starting to sound like.
What used to be called a vegetative state. He blinks. Sometimes his eyes open, but he isn't aware of his surroundings and doesn't respond to verbal commands. He doesn't speak. Sometimes he moves, but his motions aren't intentional. His arms and legs are extremely weak.
Well, we thought he was in a coma, but you couldn't call it a coma.
The Warmbiers remain at his bedside as the tests are conducted.
Our image of Otto, as you know, was of someone just wonderful, beautiful inside and out, and to see how he came home was too much for us. But I almost passed out, but I got it together and I rode in the ambulance with him because I did not want him to be alone anymore. He'd been alone for way too long.
He's surrounded by his loved ones, but his condition soon worsens. He develops a high fever, 40 degrees Celsius. Fred and Cindy Warmbier are told that he'll never wake up, and they ask to have his feeding tube removed. 6 days after his release, Otto is dead. The news.
So wait, he had a fever? So, I mean, wouldn't that imply an infection of some kind or like a virus? I mean, you would think, but I guess if they gave him a poison that like mimics an infection of some kind or something, then it would make some sense here that, you know, it would look that way, but in reality, it isn't. He was poisoned. I'm starting to really lean towards the idea that I think Otto was just poisoned.
Travels across the world.
The family of Otto Warmbier has said goodbye.
Trauer und Entsetzen nach dem Tod des Studenten Otto Warmbier.
Otto Warmbier скончался после возвращения из тюрьмы в Северной Корее.
Otto Warmbier murió pocos días después de ser entregado a los Estados Unidos.
而在台湾时间今天20号凌晨去世。
The American student who fell into a coma while in North Korean custody and has died.
On June 22, in Wyoming, Ohio, more than 2,500 people attend his funeral. The condition in which Otto Warmbier came back to the U.S. and his subsequent death are discussed nationwide. He left the United States in good health. He returned on the brink of death.
Do you know what happened to him in North Korea?
I don't.
Content note: the following chapter discusses suicide. Viewer discretion is advised.
Wait, what does that have to do with Otto, though? I'm confused. I highly doubt that he committed, suicide or whatever. So what does that have to do with them?
Upon his release, North Korea gave an explanation for Otto's state. They said he contracted botulism, a rare and severe kind of food poisoning, after eating a meal of spinach and pork.
No, dude, no. The U.S. hospitals would detect if it was that. No, there's no shot, man. He was poisoned. I don't buy that for a second. If you have botulism, the doctors at like a normal hospital can figure that out probably on their own. Like it doesn't take like a super special set of doctors to recognize the symptoms of botulism, and also to do the math that he was in North Korea where the food there is basically, horrendous and very unsafe. I would think that's something they probably had checked him for. I definitely am leaning more towards that he was just poisoned with some sort of slow-acting drug to make it look like that's what it was, so North Korea could have plausible deniability.
After he fell ill, they gave him a sleeping pill, to which he had some sort of unexpected reaction, which sent him into a state of unresponsive wakefulness.
Oh, so wait. North Korea gave him a sleeping pill that he reacted to and had a side effect, is what they're claiming, because he had botulism. I mean, I don't want to say it's impossible, but I don't believe it. I think they just poisoned him. I don't think he ever had botulism. I genuinely... I mean, it's not impossible with the food quality there, especially if he's not, like, used to it, but I just don't think that's what it is. I think it's a lot more likely that they poisoned him and just sent him back.
But U.S. medical experts are quick to dispute this story. 3 doctors, experts in neurology, ran tests on Otto while he was still alive. At the request of the family, they hold a press conference to give their opinions.
They gave him the strongest sleeping pill ever, the one that you don't wake up from. That's what they gave him.
Tests did not reveal any evidence of active or chronic denervation, nor any repetitive stimulation that would suggest active botulism at this time.
The North Koreans, it seems, are lying, and the Warmbiers have a different story.
They tortured him. They intentionally injured him. It looked like someone had taken a pair of pliers and rearranged his bottom teeth. He had a large scar on his right foot.
They destroyed him.
They purposely and intentionally injured Otto.
Okay, so I take back what I said earlier about there being no bodily injuries to him. Clearly there were. It doesn't sound like there were injuries that would mess with internal organs, though. But those are very clearly injuries from torture. If they're rearranging his teeth and cutting up his feet and all that stuff. So, very clearly he was tortured. So, I take back what I said about him not being, like, beaten and whatever. He definitely was. But I still think they probably poisoned him before they sent him back. Unless they beat him into this state, which I think the doctors would be able to tell if that's what happened, I think they poisoned him.
September 25, 2017, Fred and Cindy Warmbier gave an interview on Fox and Friends. Trump apparently watched. This becomes the narrative: physical torture, and, as a consequence, brain damage. But soon, serious doubts emerge. Let's go through his injuries one by one. First, there was a noticeable scar on Otto's right foot. This is Dr. Lakshmi Kota-Samarko, the coroner selected to conduct an external autopsy. Fred Warmbier had noticed the scar, but had Dr. Samarko?
Physically, as far as wounds, there were a few small scars that we documented. There was one that we really couldn't explain for medical instruments.
You know, forget this. Why can't Trump just do what we did to Venezuela? Like El Presidente in Venezuela. I'm sure that the North Koreans will probably just put up like Kim Jong-un's sister or something. So we gotta go harder. Why don't we just go in there and just like abduct the entire Kim family in like a couple of hours? Just send a SEAL team like we did with Venezuela. I mean, Kim Jong-un should look at that and be scared. Like, he should be, like, crapping his pants knowing that we could do that. He should just, like, never try anything like this again after seeing what we did to them. Because, like, I feel like if we really wanted to try this, and I know it's, like, a mountainous range or whatever, that probably doesn't matter, though. We have, like, planes and shit. Like, I'm sure we could figure it out. But why can't we just go in there and just snatch him up? Just yoink him out. Just grab Kim and his family and all them and just put them in a, Guantanamo or something. Just lock them the hell up. I just don't understand why we can't do that. I'm sure they'll try to pick somebody else and it'll probably put the country in shambles to a degree. But I mean, we could do that and just let the CIA do what the CIA does and work another regime in place. Because I don't know, this just kind of pisses me off. I'm sorry, maybe I'm being ridiculous, but this has just kind of pissed me off knowing what they did to this guy.
Instrumentation, which some of the other scars we could, but there wasn't anything on the external examination to indicate, other than that one scar that we couldn't explain, to indicate torture.
The Warmbiers opted against a complete autopsy, offering no reason for this decision. But Dr. Samarko did perform an external inspection. Later, in a lawsuit against North Korea, an expert witness cited the scar on Otto's foot as potential evidence that he was subjected to torture, possibly electric shock.
Oh, wow. So they were, like, electrocuting him, most likely? That's crazy. Also, I get the family doesn't want his body, like, cut up and mutilated for an autopsy, but at the same time, I kind of feel like to get answers, I genuinely think maybe they should have been okay with it, just so that they could know exactly what happened. Maybe it would be, like, some kind of untraceable drug, though, that, like, just wouldn't show in his system. I feel like you would probably find something in an autopsy, but these countries like North Korea and like Russia, China, and all these places, if they want to assassinate somebody, they have chemicals and like neurological agents and stuff that they can use on you. You'll die within like a day, and it actually just won't show up on the autopsy. Like, it's intentionally meant to not show up, so it looks like you had like a heart attack or something. So I feel like in this case, they might have done this. It could have been that he just, didn't survive torture, but it also, if I had to guess, is likely that just because of how much North Korea hates America, they gave him some kind of poison before he left, just to make it, make sure that America doesn't get him back alive. But that's just my thoughts on it. Maybe he just was tortured that badly, though, to where he just didn't survive. That's also totally possible.
But does this injury prove Otto was tortured? No. Then there are his teeth. Fred Warmbier said it looked as though Otto's bottom teeth had been rearranged. Dr. Samarko couldn't confirm this.
We also consulted our forensic dentist, Dr. Wright,
And I had him take a look at the imaging, specifically dealing with the lower teeth and mandible. He agreed with us that there is no evidence of trauma to the lower teeth or mandible.
In the lawsuit, this finding was disputed. Two of Otto's private dentists testified that his post-mortem dental x-rays, when compared to previous x-rays, indicated that some of his lower teeth had been bent backward, movement consistent with an impact injury. The New York...
Wait, why is this woman who did this examination lying now? I'm confused. What does she have to gain by lying about what she saw in the report? Because apparently these dentists are claiming there was impact injuries to the teeth and everything, and she's claiming that she's not seeing anything. So, like, is she being given money by North Korea or something to lie? Is she being threatened? What's going on here? Somebody should look into that.
Times had reported that Otto had been repeatedly beaten. That's not impossible. An ex-North Korean spy who was familiar with, though not directly involved in Otto's case, said he'd heard Otto was roughed up by prison guards.
그분이 감옥에 있으면서 간수들이 있잖아요. 간수들이 많이 때렸대요. 왜 때렸냐면 언어가 안 되잖아요.
He also continues to say that there might have been waterboarding. To him, that's standard practice, what he'd call battery rather than torture. It's difficult to say whether this ex-spy is credible, though. And even if Otto's teeth were bent backward, it's impossible to know for certain what caused that.
Dude, waterboarding is such a, I don't know, I know we did use it at one point, I don't know if we still do. I think we do, maybe, but, like, it is a crazy way to be tortured. Like, you're not gonna die, but you do feel like you're drowning, and that feeling is just, like, that's how they get you to talk, by making you constantly feel like you're drowning and going to die. So, I mean, it is definitely messed up for them to do that to him. I don't know why they'd be torturing him. Like, what information do they think that this guy has that they could possibly get out of him? Other than the lies they put him up to saying. Like, do they think he knows something that would be valuable, like classified information from the United States government or something? Like, he's not going to know anything. He's just a college student.
Finally, the biggest injury of all, his brain injury.
The most important diagnostic test thus far was a magnetic resonance imaging scan of the brain. This study showed extensive loss of brain tissue in all regions of the brain.
In other words, the damage is universal, and scans show it occurred all at once. There's a technical term for this, an anoxic encephalopathy. It means an injury caused by a lack of oxygen to the brain. So either blood ceased to flow to Otto's brain, which would result in a lack of oxygen, or Otto stopped breathing.
This pattern of brain injury, however, is usually seen as a result of cardiopulmonary arrest, where the blood supply to the brain is inadequate for a period of time, resulting in the death of brain tissue.
In general terms, one of the more likely causes of a cardiopulmonary arrest in a young person would have been a respiratory arrest.
In all likelihood, Otto stopped breathing. Any number of events could have caused this: an allergic reaction, choking, near drowning, anything that might prevent oxygen from reaching his brain. But which of these events was the cause? There's no way to know.
So they're genuinely just on the idea that he was either poisoned or not poisoned, sorry, but he was just like tortured or something like that, or, you know, a multitude of other things. But poisoning, I guess, is not like something they're even discussing. But I don't know, man. I know it's not being brought up, but I just feel like that could be it, because I know North Korea has used that to assassinate people in the past. I might do a video on that at some point, but there was this Kim Jong-un's brother, that's who it was they apparently had these two women that they claimed were being put on, like, for a reality show. They, like, North Korean agents lied to them apparently and told them that, and it's debated whether or not that's even true. And maybe they were just working for North Korea and aware, but the story was that allegedly they were told that they were auditioning for some kind of reality TV show and they were going to be idols and whatever, and they wanted them to go over and do these small pranks to people leading up to this one big one where the North Koreans had them put this gel that was a nerve toxin on their hands, which I don't know how it doesn't affect. I guess it has to get into, like, your face. but they were told to go and rub it into this guy's face in an airport, and that guy that they did it to happened to be Kim Jong-un's brother, and then he was dead like hours later or something like that. Like, he just didn't make it. So I know that North Korea has these crazy drugs when it comes to, like, you know, neurological and poison type weapons. So I feel like it's not out of the equation entirely, but maybe it was just, you know, not brought up or considered. But I just have a feeling that that could have had something to do with it. But I could be totally off base in left field and just totally wrong, and you're totally in your right to disagree with me. It's just my theory. It's my headcanon.
We have no certain or verifiable knowledge of the cause or circumstances of his neurological injury.
A cause that could almost certainly be ruled out was repeated beatings. Repeated beatings to the head would have caused asymmetrical damage, with some regions being affected more than others. Also, scans revealed no fractures of the skull. Despite all this uncertainty, the Warmbiers insist on torture. And the question of whether Otto was tortured or not is not a medical side note. By now, it has the potential to escalate a simmering conflict between two nuclear powers.
I mean, yes, but Trump wasn't totally off base when he said that his button actually works. Like, it's debated whether or not North Korea has the ability to send a nuke over to the United States on an ICBM. Maybe they could nuke their neighbors, like South Korea or something, which would be terrible, but it's more than likely that they don't have the ability to hit the US mainland. The reason it's debated is not the fact that they, you know, whether or not they have ICBMs that can go the distance. It's because all of their tests have only shown that they can go straight up and back down, but they haven't shown that the rocket can survive re-entry and do so while carrying a nuclear payload. So in reality, it wouldn't be as much of a war between us and them as it would be more like if we decided to do this a massacre, and it would really depend based on whether or not like China or Russia would want to get involved. But if it's anything like with Iran, I kind of doubt that they're going to do anything. China might be more likely to want to do something just because of the fact that North Korea is on their border and nuclear fallout might come over. But then again, Kim Jong-un is over in North Korea testing nukes all the time. Like, yeah, so it's not like all the time, but he tests them frequently enough. And that fallout it's not, where he tests them is not that far from the Chinese border. So that fallout is already going into China. So I don't know if China is going to care. I mean, they might be like, well, it's just a one-time thing. We get rid of this nuisance to us. And, you know, because what does North Korea actually provide to China? They act like their little younger brother. But at the same time, North Korea is just, it's a crap heap, man. They don't have anything. They're not doing anything, as far as I'm aware, to make China better. So I don't really understand what it is that China is, you know, why are they so willing to jump to North Korea's defense? That's what I don't understand. Maybe there's something here I don't get, but as far as I know, North Korea doesn't have a whole lot to offer, other than manpower, maybe, to the Chinese government. And China's already got plenty of manpower, so I don't know what it is that North Korea could possibly do to make China want to help them out. But other than being stationed right next door and having somewhat friendly relations, I don't understand why China would realistically step in and be like, yeah, we'll fight against the United States for this crappy nation that starves its people and, you know, has done nothing but be somewhat of a nuisance to China as a whole by letting off nukes and having the fallout most likely just drift straight over the Chinese border. I just can't understand why they would want to help in that situation against the U.S. other than maybe, oh, we don't like the U.S. But I feel like it would be like they would probably just say something like, don't you dare do it, United States, and then they just wouldn't actually step in and do anything, because we give them way too much money. We are like a massive trade partner with China, and even though they see us as like an enemy or competitor or whatever, I feel like they need us just, you know, more than we need them, more than likely. And I kind of feel like at the end of the day, North Korea is just not valuable enough to China to have China get involved in a war against the United States and start a nuclear holocaust. I just don't think that would happen.
A year and a half before, mere days after Otto's detention, North Korea had carried out its fourth nuclear test in defiance of international sanctions. It also launched a long-range missile. In September 2016, it performed another nuclear test. By 2017, the year of Otto's return, the confrontation between the US and North Korea was near the boiling point.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen.
It was the beginning of the 2017.
Can I just say that Trump really loves to say that you'll be met with fire and fury, the likes of which you never seen? I think it's so funny. I don't know why, I just really do. The fire and fury thing, it's just like, it's threatening, but also I feel like there's so many other things you could also say that just sound more threatening, but it does sound pretty threatening. I don't know. I just think it's funny.
2018 North Korea crisis. Meanwhile, Otto Warmbier's case took on an increased political weight. Trump had adopted the torture hypothesis as fact. Senator John McCain said Otto had been tortured and murdered. Senators Adam Schiff and Marco Rubio also used the word murder. Fred Warmbier's analysis was that his son served as a sort of human shield.
North Korea doesn't do anything by mistake. It was their fourth nuclear weapons test, and they had a lot of things they wanted to cover, and they felt like Otto was going to provide them the security they needed to get away with these things.
Then, in 2000,
I kind of agree with that idea. I think that makes sense. They could use Otto as a means to do nuclear weapons tests and have some negotiating chip against the United States. I think the bigger problem, though, that North Korea didn't really calculate for is that Otto wasn't like a famous person or something. Had he have been like LeBron James or something, you know, some famous person in the US maybe, that probably would have resulted in the United States trying a little harder. Even though I maybe the US just goes equal either way, but I would like to think that, but you know, with trying to get citizens back, but I feel like realistically that's not the case, and more than likely, if you're like a famous person or politician or something, the U.S. probably would try harder to get you back, and that's sad, but it's probably true.
2018, Michael Flukinger, the doctor that helped bring Otto back to the U.S., revealed a new piece of information to GQ. The staff at the North Korean hospital where Otto stayed told Flukinger that they received him the day after his trial, and he was already unresponsive. They had to resuscitate him, then give him oxygen and put him on a ventilator, or he would die, Flukinger told GQ. Also, there's a brain scan dated April 2016.
We received copies of brain MRI images from the medical personnel in North Korea. The earliest images are dated April 2016. Based upon our analysis of those images, the brain injury likely occurred in the preceding weeks.
Of course, the North Korean story might be a lie. It might not be true that he was hospitalized the morning after his trial, but there is strong medical evidence that he sustained his brain injury in the days or weeks after March 16. In any case,
that's kind of crazy that they even tried at all. I guess they wanted to keep the bargaining chip around, but it is a little bit crazy that North Korea was like, oh crap, we beat him up a little too hard. Take him to the hospital, try to rescue him with our third world technology. That'll totally work. Their hospitals have to be like so primitive, it's ridiculous. I'm surprised they even had a CT machine to do a brain scan in the first place.
Otto Warmbier was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor, but it's very unlikely that he was actually sent to one of the notoriously horrific North Korean labor camps. American detainees are treated differently. According to GQ, Otto Warmbier most likely stayed in a used guest house in downtown Pyongyang during his detention. The hard labor he was sentenced to would likely have been planting soybeans and making bricks.
If you guys are interested in learning about these North Korean like concentration work camps or whatever, I will, if this video does well and you guys want to see it, let me know in the comments if you do. I will do some reactions to I saw a video about it. I think it was called like Camp 14 or something like that. But I will make a video reacting to that in the near future. And we could do a dive into the North Korean work camps together.
Grueling, backbreaking work, but nothing compared to coal mining, which is typical for North Koreans. North Korea needed him as a bargaining chip, and bargaining chips don't have much value if they aren't in good condition.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. It's what I was thinking. Like, the whole reason they tried to bring him back to life or stop him from dying or whatever and resuscitate him, get him back to health, was so that they could keep him as a bargaining chip. But you know that they would stupidly just beat him again once he was back to, somewhat good enough condition to, operate normally on his own. But that was probably not going to happen because it's North Korea and they probably abused him beyond belief.
And in a sense, he was.
We believe that for somebody who's been bedridden for more than a year, that his body was in excellent condition, his skin was in excellent condition, and we didn't see any evidence of decubiti or bed sores.
I'm very confused what this woman's deal is. Why is she going to bat so hard for North Korea when other doctors and stuff in the family are all saying otherwise? It's just this woman's opinion as the coroner against everybody else. I feel like there has to be something that's doing this because I just don't believe her. I don't. I think she's lying, and I think that somebody put her up to it. And I would love to know if anybody ever investigated her to find out why she would potentially tell these lies.
In its article, GQ proposes a different theory than torture. During the 2 months between his detention and his confession, Otto was likely subjected to relentless interrogation for as long as 15 hours per day. The only respite from the interrogation would have been North Korean propaganda films. Previous prisoners were told their government had forgotten them.
Dude, do you know how freaking terrible that would be? You're just being beaten and tortured by these North Korean soldiers, these guards or whatever, and then they occasionally just make you sit down as like, oh, you've been a good boy, here, watch some North Korean propaganda. Like, oh, we're so good, we're such a great country, now come back so you can collect this ass whooping, boy. That's basically what they did.
Some fell into debilitating depressions, even attempting suicide. At trial, so hours, weeks, or days before he supposedly fell into a coma, he was visibly desperate.
Please think of my family. Give me the oldest son in my family.
Dude, the representation there though, that North Korean soldier there, just standing next to him, feeling nothing. I know he can't understand it, but you could see the emotion and just how soulless the North Korean soldiers look is just insane. Like, they don't even look like they care. He's not even looking at him. He's just looking around the room at all the reporters, trying to be like, all right, let's make sure we get the good shot for the U.S. to make sure that they could see that, we have him and that he's a criminal. But you could see that this guy is genuinely scared for his life, and this soldier's just standing there, just not even caring. And it's so inhuman.
GQ speculates that in the hopeless hours after his sentencing, Otto may have attempted to take his own life. A lack of oxygen to his brain could have caused his injury.
I mean, I don't blame him if he did. I would have probably done the same thing in his position because he's gonna, you're gonna die anyway. Why should I let you kill me when I can just do it myself? I know it's coming.
Of course, this theory is just one of many. An allergic reaction to a sleeping pill, an excessive administration of drugs, a suicide attempt, a heart attack, a form of torture that left no obvious lasting marks. It could have been any of these things. Without Otto here to tell the tale, we may never know the truth. In May 2018, something weird happened. Trump tweeted that he was going to meet Kim Jong-un.
The highly anticipated meeting between Kim Jong-un and myself will take place in Singapore on June 12th. We will both try to make it a very special moment for world peace. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I know they had the meeting, but why was it Singapore exactly? Why didn't they just, like, that's kind of far away. Why didn't they meet at, like, I know it's, I guess maybe Singapore is a good place to do it. I'm just more surprised they didn't just meet at, like, the DMZ or something. Then again, I mean, do you really, and Kim's gonna bring his army of people regardless, and so is the U.S. It doesn't matter where they meet at. They're gonna have soldiers there in case some shit goes down. But, like, I'm just more surprised that they didn't just meet at the border or something, just save everybody some travel expense.
In person, and everything changed.
I mean, I guess actually for Trump, I guess Singapore might be a little bit closer to fly to. I'm not sure. I'd have to look where Singapore is. I kind of forget exactly where it is on a map. I'm not going to sit there and act like I'm some geographical expert. But I would think that Singapore would be closer, actually, I think, than North Korea would be. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to, like, I know he did go there, but I don't think I'd want to go there. if I was the U.S. president. Even if I brought like the military with me and like Secret Service and everything, I'd still think the North Koreans would try to do something to me.
Getting a good picture, everybody, so we look nice and handsome and thin.
After the Singapore summit, Otto's name all but disappeared from Trump's lips, replaced by the name of Kim Jong-un.
And then we fell in love, okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters. We fell in love.
The previous year, Trump tweeted that he tried so hard to be Kim's friend and referred to their relationship as
It's a very special relationship.
In 2019, when asked whether he thought Kim knew about Otto's case, his reply was startling.
I don't believe he knew about it.
The warm beers were out.
That's really weird, because he definitely did. I didn't know Trump said any of this. I want to know if there's more context here before I just believe the clips entirely, but if he did, that's just messed up, because there's no way that Kim Jong-un wouldn't have known about it, and he definitely had a hand to do with it, because he was using him as a bargaining chip. Of course he knew about it. The only thing I could think of is he's just trying to quell North Korea by glazing Kim Jong-un a little bit to get him to stop threatening nuclear war. And I know that back during this time frame, Kim Jong-un kept saying he was going to nuke Hawaii. Maybe the capabilities were possibly there enough that the U.S. government, including Trump, felt that they needed to disarm him a bit by being nice to him. And I do feel bad for Otto, but for the good of the American people as a whole, I could understand somewhat why Trump and the government would take that stance, I suppose, to like want to try to, get Kim Jong-un to back down by being nice to him. I don't know if anybody had tried that before Trump, so I mean, it kind of makes sense to try to be friendly with North Korea a little bit to get them to stop the nonsense with the nuclear test, but I think that it only worked for so long before they went back to their old ways, I'm pretty sure. As it stands, I'm fairly positive that Kim is still doing Kim Jong-un things.
Outraged, Trump had helped them bring Otto home and relisted Kim Jong-un's country as a state sponsor of terrorism. Now he seemed to admire him.
Well, he is very talented. Anybody that takes over a situation like he did at 26 years of age and is able to run it and run it tough. Very few people at that age, you can take 1 out of 10,000 probably couldn't do it.
I don't think that Trump means anything he just said there. I think this entirely was just a diplomatic play to try to be friendly with Kim so he would stop being a problem to the United States. I don't think that he actually believed anything he just said.
Otto Warmbier was many things. An all-American boy, an unlucky tourist.
Like, it looks bad saying this on TV to everybody in front of all these people, because if he's saying it in a way that seems sincere. I don't think he believes it, but I think that he is saying it simply to try to make North Korea be friendly with us, because then it's one less problem that we have to deal with. And if we could deal with it diplomatically versus fire and fury, I guess the option, if it's there, should be taken. But it sounds terrible, because we all know that Kim knew about this, Kim was behind it, most likely, and that North Korea is a very crap nation, and he is a very evil man and an evil leader. And I know Trump is aware of that. He's not just going to meet him once and then flip the script. More than likely, Trump just said these things because he knew that Kim would see it on television, and he wanted to make sure Kim saw it so that Kim would feel that the United States doesn't hate him, and maybe the U.S. would stop maybe he would stop being hostile towards the U.S. That's what I'm thinking the goal was there. If I'm going to put my brain into it and really try to get into Trump's mind in the U.S. government, because I'm sure the U.S. government probably told him to say this stuff as to why exactly they would say what he said. I just can't imagine that he actually genuinely believes Kim is a good guy or a good leader, because he's not. I think that Trump only said these things just to try to stop a war from happening, because obviously nuclear war would be terrible regardless of how it happens or if they can hit us. It's still bad if they start blowing stuff, setting off nukes, or they nuke South Korea or whatever. And I get Otto died, and it's terrible, and I feel terrible for the guy and his family. But it would be much worse if thousands and thousands and thousands of more people were lost, because even if North Korea can't reach the United States, they could definitely reach South Korea. So either way, there would be a lot of lives lost if Kim did decide to launch a nuke and we didn't stop it in time from happening. So I kind of get where he's coming from here in that regard. It sounds terrible, and I could be completely wrong. I acknowledge that. Maybe it's not the case. Maybe Trump really was just glazing him after the meeting. But I just think there's more here. I think it's just a political play to stop him from trying to be hostile towards us and hostile towards South Korea, where he could potentially cause untold devastation if he fired a nuke at Seoul.
A loving son. But on the international stage, he was a pawn and a symbol. Pyongyang deployed Otto on the chessboard of politics, using him domestically as a mouthpiece to spread anti-American propaganda, and internationally as a bargaining chip, a hostage to be traded for the easing of sanctions or other U.S. concessions. For the Trump administration, Otto Warmbier was useful as a symbol, driving the narrative that he was tortured by a barbarous regime and possibly using his death as a means of psychologically preparing the American public for war, the threat of which Trump hoped would make Kim back down. Otto was sentenced to 15 years hard labor for an alleged crime that in most countries would be considered, at worst, vandalism, based on a sham trial. No matter what happened to him, that in itself is damning enough. And even if he likely never had to go to one of North Korea's prison camps, they are hell on earth. Uncertainty about his cause of death shouldn't distract from the exceptional brutality and cruelty of Kim Jong-un's regime.
Yeah, they really are hell on earth. You do not want to find yourself in one of those camps. Anyway, great video. I feel really bad for Otto and what he went through. And I advise all of you watching this video, don't take a trip to North Korea or Turkmenistan or really any hostile to the US country at all that's ran by a crazy dictator. I would advise against it, but definitely not North Korea. You do not want to end up being the next Otto Warmbier. I'm sorry, it's not a place to go. You're going to find yourself possibly in a terrible situation that you most likely not get out of, and you could end up just like him, and it's sad to say, but overall, amazing video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to watch another one, there will be another video popping up on screen right about now. Let me know if you guys want more North Korea related content. If not, then I guess we won't do it again. But I figured that I would see how it does. So I'll see you guys again in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.